First, thank you so much for making time to speak with me. I got to ask you right off the top, Chevy Music Indie Fridays, Young Dundas Square, you guys are one of the feature acts for this. It's the last night for Chevy Music, but how does it feel being part of this series?
We're really excited. I mean, to be honest, I think the most exciting part of it for us is that we get to share the stage with other Latinx artists. And I think that when they approached us for this and they said to us, like, hey, how would you guys like to be part of, like, this Discovery series? And it's going to be all Latinx. We were like, yes, hell yes. Because it's so hard to find that, I find, in the city. So it's, I was just super excited that we even got approached for it.
That's what Toronto's all about. It's about diversity and great music, and you guys, I know, are going to tear it up. We were just talking earlier because, I wanted to learn more about your career and everything. You were just mentioning about you and it's your sister, right?
Yes, my sister.
You guys were in another group before becoming a duo.
We were. Started in 2004. We were in a band called Magnetoline for almost a decade.
And we were talking about, I have this feeling that I've interviewed you guys. What was it like back then when you guys were with the group?
It was, honestly, it seems like light years ago now, but I think at the time we were just so young and so green, but we're so grateful that we got that experience because I think it just primed us for everything we're doing now and, just kind of being in a place now, like, as older adults where we know exactly what we want and what we want to do. And so it was an exciting time. But, yeah, it's crazy to think, like, we started that band when we were, like, 15, 16 years old. So crazy. Yeah.
Before that, though, growing up in Toronto, I assume.
Yep.
What was it like for you guys? What kind of music were you listening to, and how did you get interested in music?
Yeah, so I think it's funny because I think this is kind of how this new project came to be. So Nadia and I, we come from a Mexican family. Both of our parents, my mom's from Mexico City, my dad is from Monterrey. And we grew up listening to, like, tons of music, but especially, like, a lot of, like, like Latin classic pop music. And so that's what we grew up listening to. And then, of course, you get into your teen years and you get a little angstier. So we started listening to a lot of, like, indie rock. And there was a lot of bands that were coming out at that time, too, that were, really cool. Like, The Strokes had just come out, and they were being influenced by a lot of, like, late 70s, like, new wave, Blondie and all of that. So, like, it's kind of been, like, a mix of everything. So I feel like this new project is a reflection of all that kind of music that we've always loved. But I remember, I started taking vocal lessons at the age of, I think I was, like, 8. And it was like Royal Conservatoire of Music, and I failed miserably because I think I remember I turned 13 and my voice just dropped. Like, I have an alto voice now, but before there was, like, the music teacher was trying to get me to be a soprano. And then after that, it was just kind of like, whatever happened. And, I decided to leave RCM and all of that. But it's just cool that we, found a way to kind of turn it into something different, like, so many years later.
I'm just curious, do you remember when, I think it was Channel 47, they used to show the Latin music videos? Because I used to watch it all the time. It was on Saturdays. Do you remember that?
Yes. What channel was that? I'm trying to remember.
It was Channel 47. I can't remember.
That wasn't TLN, right? Was that TLN?
It might have been TLN. You know what? You're right. It was TLN. I was wrong.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was TLN because I used to watch it, and I used to love watching those videos. So, yeah, I was just curious if you guys watched it, too.
Oh, yeah, we watched a lot of TLN. At that point, like, my parents didn't have cable yet, so they couldn't stream everything from, like, from Mexico, but that's where we used to catch, like, all the soap operas growing up was on TLN.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so now we want to jump ahead, okay?
Yeah.
So you guys end up leaving the band, become a duo for this. Why did you guys make that move?
So I think, because it was a 3-piece before, and I think, to be honest, like, we all just kind of got to this point where it was like we got into this project, or into Magneto, when we were like 15, 16. All the three of us grew up, we've remained great friends, and I think part of keeping that friendship intact has been to, kind of, like, let each other go and, like, really, like, explore the new passions that we have. Like, for example, like, French, our bass player at the time, she's always had a passion for film, so then when she decided to go back to get her master's degree for that, we felt it was something that should be supported. And then in her exploring that, at the same time, like, we finally got to do the bilingual project that my sister and I had always wanted to do. And so I think it's just kind of part of the evolution of like, you know, being like a human being on this planet. It's like if you're not growing, if you're not embracing change, then what are you really doing? You know what I mean? So I think it was just kind of part of our journey, and because of that, like if you look at the three of us now, I just feel like we're all better versions of ourselves, and you know, luckily we get to, you know, see each other. I mean, I see my sister every day. Like obviously we're in the new project and we live together, but even with French, it's just so great to be able to see her like maybe like once every 6 months, and we just get to catch up and eat pasta and have wine and do all of that. You know what I mean? Without there being, and we just look back at it and it's like this like beautiful memory that we have now of all like the crazy things that we used to do as teenagers together.
So I want to make sure it's Lolaa, right?
Yes, Lola's the new project. Yeah.
What does Lolaa mean? Because I thought I read something that there's an actual meaning behind this.
Yeah. So Lolaa is the short form of the name Dolores, which was one of our family members' names as well. But at the time when we were picking the band name, there was so many things that had happened at that time. Like I remember like a friend of mine passed away, and we were kind of like writing this music that had this very like, call it poptimist sound, but the lyrics were actually very like melancholic because of, you know, it was basically like the EP that healed me, I would say. So I love the idea of the name Dolores, which is also the name of I guess like Our Lady of what's the word, like Our Lady of Dolores, which is like Our Lady of Sorrows. And so it just somehow became the band name because it seemed so fitting at the time. And then, of course, like just the iconography, like related to that, I just think it's something that's always been around, especially when you come from like a Latin American or Mexican background. But anyway, with that being said, Lolaa just seemed like the perfect fit for what we were doing. There was so many Lolas out there with one A, so we actually just decided like, let's slap another A on this and make it Lolaa with two A's. So not much thought went into that part, but we made it work.
So you have two EPs out under the same name of self-titled album. What is it exactly with the two?
So basically, the only difference is it's the exact same songs, but one of the EPs is entirely in Spanish, and one of the other EPs is entirely in English. And that's something we always really wanted to do, is to be able to write the music in both ways, because we are bilingual, and you know, Spanish is actually our first language growing up. And it's kind of always been a dream of ours to finally be able to do that. So first we did the first EP in English because we live in Toronto and we've always kind of been part of like an English speaking independent music scene. But when the time was right, we were just like, okay, like now it's time to finally translate these and let's give it a shot in the language that we've always wanted to pursue this in. So yeah, it just kind of happened.
Is it tough to make sure that the meaning is still the same? Do you have to change certain things because from, you know, going back and forth, some things could be lost?
Yes, and honestly, like, I'm totally going to admit this. I have a friend of mine who actually, like, he's been so good at kind of, like, gut checking things with me. He's from Colombia, so it's actually kind of funny because, you know, my mother always said, she's just like, just remember the Colombian and the Mexican Spanish is very different. I'm like, yeah, okay, Mom, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, we got this. But that's the thing. Like, it's really like an art, you know, like you can be completely bilingual in both languages, but to be able to translate that meaning, it's like basically like translating poetry, like to still be able to relay that story. So luckily, like he, you know, was able to help me with that. His name is Juan Galeano. He's in a band from Colombia called Diamante Eléctrico. They're amazing. But that's the thing, like this time so now we have this like upcoming album coming up. I actually decided to start writing a lot of the songs in Spanish because I realized that it's actually so much difficult, or much more difficult, at least for me, to be able to translate it in that beautiful, more poetic kind of way from English to Spanish. And it's easier for me to actually translate from Spanish to English. So that's the way I'm approaching the songs this time around.
So what's the show going to be like when we get a chance to see both of you on stage at Chevy Music Indie Fridays?
We like to dance a lot, that's for sure. We're so lucky we have our drummer friend and our producer. He joins us on stage on drums, on the skins. So he's going to be there. His name's John Drew. Amazing. We've been friends for like over 10 years. And my sister and I, we just, you know, we like to to wear just like fun outfits because it feels like we're playing dress up, you know. But yeah, like, I mean, and we love neon, and we just like energy and just people that come out and just, you know, really kind of like embrace being their true selves, whatever that means. And yeah, it's just a good time, you know, no pressure. It's like we're there because we love it. We're there because, you know, we have fun and we want people to feel that same energy when they're there at a Lolaa show.
You know, again, sounds like everything that Toronto represents, so I'm looking so forward to it because I get to introduce you guys.
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting.
You mentioned about working on an album. When do you think that album will be out?
Yeah, so we're actually finishing up some touches on it right now. But what we're hoping for is to have it out by May 2020. And then we're actually shooting a video for the first single at the end of September. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, the goal is to have the album out by next spring. So fingers crossed on that.
Fantastic. Social media is the place to go to follow you guys. Where do we go?
Sorry, say that again. I think you just
social
cut out.
Media. That's okay.
Social media.
Yes.
Getting used to the social media. Yeah, so we have Instagram and Facebook, and I believe it's the same thing. I think it's /Lolaa Music. Yeah, Lolaa Music, /Lolaa Music. You can find us on there. 2 A's. LOLLAA.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing the interview, and looking forward to seeing you guys on Friday. I know you guys are going to tear it up, so looking forward to all this.
Thanks, Rudy. Really excited to see you again.
Take care, and we'll see you on Friday.
Okay, ciao.
Bye-bye.